Good evening, gentlemen. How are you tonight?
Not bad, you?
I'm not bad. Tonight we're going to be looking at a game called Teratopia.
Sounds pretty rad.
Oh, whoa! Those
Got
are
an
some
octopus.
tentacles.
So this is a game that is like an action adventure, like almost top-down kind of hack and slash type game.
Okay.
Very basic, very cartoony.
Yeah, I actually kind of like this style. It reminds me back of almost like the N64.
Almost looks like
PlayStation 1.
claymation, like the
A little bit,
Clay
yeah.
Fighter. You remember that?
Not a lot of options here to play with. You'll see this is a theme in the game, is that it's very minimalistic. Like, you have one attack button, and eventually when you level up, you can unlock a stronger attack, which is holding that one button.
All right.
So the idea is... Oh, I'm going to get storyline in a second.
Melee units cause extra damage to stone thrower enemies.
I'll explain that in a minute.
All right, then.
This is a load screen on a PS5, by the way.
Ooh, this
Wow.
must be a big game then.
It's a PS4 game running on PS5 backwards compatibility.
Ooh. I like the cactus. It's a nice looking cactus.
But it ain't a nice place to visit anymore.
I guess not.
Not long ago, it was such a wonderful world to
Oh,
explore.
friendship.
Inhabited by colorful creatures of three kinds.
Blue?
The joyful,
Oh, he looks happy.
the smart,
Oh, very intelligent.
the likable.
Definitely a friend of mine.
They knew how to coexist in harmony.
Oh, they're playing some games.
They knew how to appreciate a peaceful life. And treasure friendly companions.
That is how I treat my friends.
Until they arrived.
Uh-oh. Octopuses.
One by one, they invaded our lands.
Oh, octopus birds, even worse.
One by one, they abducted us all.
Didn't you just read that?
Well, almost.
Oh, blue guy! Blue guy for the win!
So those are your three playable classes, so to speak.
Yeah.
The
Tucho.
The blue is a melee character. You unlock green in the second level, who is a ranged character, and the yellow you unlock a couple levels later, who is kind of mid-range and has a damage over time.
Okay.
Now, the other thing that you unlock is a minion system. So you get pickups that let you summon different characters. Or not characters, minions. Literally minions.
All right.
Cactus with eyes, that's creepy. Go punch them. It's perfect punching practice. So as you get further into the game, you get melee units, ranged units, engineers, tanks, and wizards.
Okay.
You gotta find pickups from defeating enemies that will let you get like charges of them.
Gotcha.
And then you can summon them on the battlefield as you have consumables. So you can have a little army of minions of different tasks. So if you have flying enemies, you can summon a bunch of ranged ones. The wizard will like buff and heal and do different things like that. And that's how you kind of get your variety, because beyond that, it is punch. That's it. Or like with green, like shooting a distance. Like you have one attack. So it gets very repetitive very quickly. I want to say it's very kid-friendly, but a lot of the jokes and blood splatters maybe suggest that it might be a little bit tougher to give to any young kid.
It's kind of like Bard's Tale.
How so, sir?
I mean, you summon minions, very basic combat system. It's for kids, but it really isn't, you know? Everything I think of when I think of the Bard's Tale.
Oh, I mean, like, I do like the graphics. And while they're not, like, technically superior or advanced compared to other games, they're bold, they're colorful, they're easy to look at.
Yeah.
Right? So here you see I summoned a little minion.
He's
They have
going
their
around
own health.
punching, yeah.
You don't control them once you summon them. That's it. Like, that's how they go. But, you know, the variety comes as you unlock more of them that you can do that. But this is it. This is the game.
Very basic.
Yeah.
Very basic.
Not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, it really depends on if you look at like the price compared to, you know, how long the game might be.
Yeah, it's a budget title. You're looking at, 6 to 10 hours. I will say boss fights are probably the most imaginative thing in the game because they do have, unique mechanics. different attacks to avoid, different vulnerability phases, things like that. I mean, there is a boss in this video, but it's the first boss. You haven't really gained all your abilities because beyond just one attack, you do get dashes, double jumps, like the standard,
like platformer type.
The standard platforming stuff. Random levels you'll get will just be like increase your
strong attack.
Gain the strong attack, or it'll just be like plus 10% damage on regular attacks type thing. It doesn't really change too much of like the actual gameplay, but you do get some different abilities that you can get, which will add to the mechanics. In the first level, you don't really have too many of those, so the first boss fight is pretty basic.
Yeah.
But it's not a bad game to just mindlessly play through levels, get a few, like you collect eyes from all of the enemies, which you can use to unlock treasure chests and minion upgrades that spawn in the level. And I don't like this mechanic. They don't spawn in the level until you beat the level. So to go,
you gotta go back.
So to get like treasure chests and like the minion upgrades, because like you can only carry say 4 melee, 5 melee characters, 3 of the ranged ones, 1 wizard as you go type thing. And as you unlock minions, you can carry that many more. But you have to go back to a level after you've beaten it in order to unlock those.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like fun at all. Like maybe if it changed up the level or something, but yeah, just walking through a level that has no enemies in it now.
No, the enemies will respawn when you've
respawn.
beaten the level. The only thing that won't respawn is the boss fights.
But you're still redoing what you just did. Like that's, I don't think that's very good game design, forcing you to just redo something you just did.
Yeah.
See, I could
without
understand.
it being like collectibles behind, let's say, gates that let's say you can only open once you've unlocked a certain key.
I was
right?
just about to say, like, maybe until you get like the ability to dash in the middle of your jump.
Yeah.
That maybe there's some collectibles across a chasm, because we see that in a lot of
3D
platforming
platformers,
games,
yeah.
right? Where you might have to go back for some of them, but there's still a few you can get as you go through it the first time.
Mm-hmm.
There's none that you can get the first time. You have to go back after you've beaten a level to get any upgrades or unlockables. And there are, in this first level, you come back here numerous times because there is a vendor in this level specifically that as you complete in-game achievements, so summon this many of this type of minion, kill this many of this type of enemy, you get a special currency that lets you buy outfits for your characters. And the outfits have different passive bonuses. So one will be increased damage, one will be increased movement speed, one will be like a more challenging one, so it decreases the healing and increases the damage you take. And that vendor is only in the first level. So you always have to go back to the first level for that.
Yeah, even just that little bit of backtracking right there just felt kind of slow.
And this is the other place that you use eyes, is that there's some gates in the levels that, in order to pass them. But I will say this, in the time that I spent with the game, I never had a shortage of eyes. Like, there was never a point where I got a treasure chest if I went back into a level, or I came across a gate that I couldn't progress any further because I didn't have enough eyes.
Okay.
Right? So that's at least a nice thing. But it could be also because of the nature of it. If you die, like, you start at the beginning of the level, no checkpoints, and all the enemies respawn. And all the enemies are randomly generated. So the same enemies are not always in the same place. So sometimes you do have to trudge through like the same landscape with just a different placement of enemies to get back to where you were if you die. Like, you fall off a cliff, for example, you start from the beginning of the level, and you lose any of the minion pickups you have. So I have five melee minions right now. If I was to die, I'd start at the beginning of the level with 0 again. So we're coming to the end of the video, and we're gonna see the first boss fight. As we're introduced to that, why don't you guys tell me, do you continue after the first opinion?
I think for me, I kind of like the style. I like the gameplay so far. Because it's a budget title, I actually probably would.
I don't think so. I think it's a little too simple. I think if it were to add like abilities, I could see this being enjoyable enough. But if it's just punching things, no.
Well, it's punching if you choose the blue character.
Yeah. Well,
Again, like you can have a ranged character, you can have a damage over time character, and then how you summon and what combination of minions you summon will change your gameplay style as well.
yeah, not really my thing. I think it would have to have a lot more than basically being auto attacks all game.
I will say that I would continue after the first opinion, which I did do. I've played the game for a few hours now, and there's just something that's a draw about the simple platforming nature of it that I don't know if I'll continue through until the very end, but it is a simple, mindless game that you can play and enjoy.
Hey, did you like that video? If you did, be sure to let us know by clicking the like button and leaving a comment. If you want to be first in line for any new content, be sure to subscribe to our channel and then hit up our Facebook page. The link's in the description below to see what's coming up next.